My girlfriend told her ex, "He's putting that car in my name soon. Then I'll come back to you." I said nothing, faked a bankruptcy, and sold it. 24 hours later, she left me. A week later, she was screaming at my door after seeing my new yacht on Instagram. That one sentence on her phone did more damage than every argument, every quiet worry, every late-night overthinking session combined. It took 10 seconds to read, maybe less, but it rewired the way I saw her, us, and honestly myself. My name's Aaron. I'm 32, and until about 2 months ago, I thought I'd finally won in life. You know the script. Poor childhood, long years of grind. Finally getting the car, the condo, the salary, and a girl who said she didn't care about money while taking pictures of her reflection in the hood of my car. I used to believe the people who loved you would always choose you over everything else. I don't believe that anymore. I believe some people love what you can give them. And if you take that away, even just in their imagination, they're gone before the ink dries. I grew up broke, not pretend broke, not we only go on one vacation a year broke. I mean the kind where rent was a monthly jump scare, where the electricity got cut twice, where you learn to watch your parents' faces more than their words because stress shows up there first. My mom worked nights at a hospital. My dad worked maintenance at whatever building would have him. We didn't starve, but we lived close enough to that line to see it. I promised myself I'd never end up there as an adult. That promise became my entire personality. I studied hard, hustled harder, took every freelance gig I could get in tech, learned to code, learned to pitch, learned to survive on 3 hours of sleep and caffeine. By 30, I'd built something real. A small software company, a handful of long-term clients, a modest but growing team, and eventually, the dream cliché, a sleek graphite gray sports car that turned heads everywhere. I bought it cash. No financing, no cosigner. Just 10 years of sacrifice sitting in my driveway. That car meant something to me. It was proof. Proof that nights eating instant noodles at my desk led somewhere. Proof that I wasn't that scared kid anymore, hoping the landlord didn't knock. Then I met Brooke. We were at a mutual friend's rooftop birthday. I'd almost skipped it because I had a deployment go sideways that morning, but my buddy Jake insisted I come touch grass for once. Brooke was standing near the railing, city lights behind her, hair pulled back, laughing at some story. She was striking, but not in a loud way. Brown eyes, light freckles, simple black dress, no designer logos screaming for attention. When we were introduced, she shook my hand instead of doing the awkward half hug and said, "I've heard you're married to your job." I smirked and said, "It's a committed relationship, yeah." She rolled her eyes. Sounds exhausting. Later, she admitted that line annoyed her immediately, but also made her curious. She asked what I actually did, not in that small talk way where people are just waiting for their turn to brag, but like she actually wanted to know. We ended up in a corner talking about burnout, the pressure to always be on, and whether success was worth the stress. At some point I mentioned growing up broke, and she just nodded and said, "Yeah, money gives you safety, not identity." That stuck with me. She sounded like someone who got it. When we left the party, I offered her a ride. She raised an eyebrow when I clicked my key fob, and the car lit up. "Fancy," she said, smiling. "Overcompensating for something?" I laughed. "Maybe," I said. "You'll have to date me to find out." It was a joke. But she blushed and actually agreed to coffee, as long as you don't talk about conversion funnels or whatever you tech people obsess over. I went home that night feeling lighter than I had in years. For a while, it really was good. Better than good, actually. Brooke seemed normal in the best possible way. She liked cheap diners as much as high-end rooftop bars. She never asked what anything cost. When I tried to pay for everything at first, she'd pull out her card and insist we split. "I have a job, you know," she'd say with mock offense. She was a graphic designer at a small agency, not rolling in money, but stable. She talked about wanting to do freelance someday, maybe travel more. She had dreams, not schemes. Or that's what I thought. The more we dated, the more she slid into my life. The toothbrush appeared first, then a drawer, then a section of my closet. She came with me on business trips sometimes, worked from the hotel when she could. On weekends, we'd take long drives, just us, some music, and the open road. She'd lean back in the seat, sunglasses on, hair blowing in the wind, and say things like, "I feel so safe with you," or "This feels like the life I always wanted." She said she loved how focused I was, how I made plans, how I didn't drift. Somewhere along the way, I started thinking about her when I thought about the future. I'm not an impulsive person. I don't propose after 6 months or merge finances after a year. But with Brooke, it felt like maybe I could finally relax. Be that guy who has someone come home to instead of just a Slack notification. One night, after a long week, we were parked by the waterfront eating takeout in the car. She ran her hand along the dashboard and said, half joking, half serious, "This thing is basically your first child." I laughed. "Maybe I'll put your name on the title someday, so you can share custody." She grinned. "Don't tease me like that. I drive it more than you do." I tossed back, "One day, maybe, when you prove you're responsible enough." We both laughed. It was the kind of playful conversation couples have. At least it felt that way. After that night, though, she started bringing it up more often in casual ways. If that car was in my name, the speeding tickets would be your problem. Or, imagine us doing a road trip, and I don't have to ask permission to drive it because it's partly mine. I didn't think much of it. I figured it was half joke. Half her wanted to be more included in my world. It was flattering in a way. Someone wanting to be us instead of you and me. Or at least that's how I rationalized it. Things started to shift slowly. She got more interested in the symbols of my success. Took more photos from the balcony of my condo. Asked more questions about the clients I worked with, the money we were bringing in, the next steps. I chalked it up to healthy curiosity. But then she started comparing. "My friends say you're lucky to have everything figured out," she'd say. Or, "You don't realize how hard it is for people like us who don't own companies." People like us, she'd say, even though she was dating the me part of that equation. I should have noticed the red flags then. But love makes you interpret warning signs as quirks. The night everything changed, we were at my place. Pasta on the stove, some playlist running in the background. She said she needed to take a shower. Left her phone on the coffee table. Plugged in, screen facing up. I wasn't checking for anything. I wasn't suspicious in that moment. I was draining the pasta when I heard the little ding. I almost ignored it, but for whatever reason, I walked over and glanced at the screen. A preview popped up from a name I didn't recognize at first. Mason. My brain filed it under friend or coworker. Then the preview loaded fully, and I read it like someone held it up in front of my face and forced my eyes across every word. "He's putting that car in my name soon. Then I'll come back to you." Timing just slow, it stopped. It felt like someone punched me in the chest without moving. I read it again, thinking maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I missed a LOL or a sarcastic emoji. Nothing. Just cold, direct text. "He's putting that car in my name soon. Then I'll come back to you." It didn't say, "I think he might." It didn't say, "Maybe." It was certainty. A done deal in her mind. A bridge she was already halfway across. My first instinct was to feel sick. My second was to feel stupid. My third was to screenshot it. My hands moved before my heart could catch up. Click. Screenshot. Sent to my own email. Saved in a hidden folder. The water in the shower kept running. She hummed some song, completely unaware that the ending had already started. At first, I wanted to storm into the bathroom, hold the phone up, and demand answers. I pictured her crying, saying it wasn't what it looked like, that she was just stringing him along, that she didn't mean it, maybe even saying she'd cut him off if I just forgave her. But something in my gut told me exactly how that conversation would go, and I was so tired. Tired in a way I hadn't even realized yet. Tired of wondering who loved me and who loved what I provided. Tired of explaining myself. Tired of defending reality to someone who would always twist it. So instead of confrontation, I chose something else. Data. I wanted to know with certainty who she really was. Not the version she sold me. The version she showed when she thought I was her safety net and someone else was her backup plan. When she came out of the shower, towel on her head, one of my old t-shirts on, she smiled and kissed my cheek. "Smells good," she said, pointing to the pasta. "I'm starving." I looked at her and forced myself to act normal, to not let what I knew show in my face. "Yeah," I said. "Let's eat." That night, we watched a movie. She curled up against me, fingers tracing little circles on my arm. I felt weirdly detached, like I was watching someone else's life. When she fell asleep next to me later, I stared at the ceiling, thinking. At around 2 a.m., an idea formed, clean and simple. She loved security. She loved the idea of that car, of a future where the status it represented was hers. She was already promising someone else she'd go back once she got what she wanted. What would she do if she thought it was gone? The next morning over coffee, I set the foundation. I sighed a lot, rubbed my forehead, glanced at my phone like I was waiting for bad news. Eventually, she asked, "You okay?" I hesitated just long enough. "Remember that big contract I told you about? The one that was supposed to carry us through next year?" She nodded. I swallowed. It fell apart. And not just that one. 2 others are shaky now. Cash flow's a mess. Her eyes widened. "What? Since when?" "The last couple weeks." I said, "I've been trying to fix it behind the scenes. We might be okay, but if things don't change soon, I might have to make some drastic moves." "Like what?" she asked. I shrugged, making a show of staring out the window. Selling stuff. Downsizing. Maybe even letting the car go. That thing costs a fortune to maintain. I've been meeting with a bankruptcy attorney, just in case. I threw that last bit in softly, like it physically hurt to say it. Her reaction was subtle, but not subtle enough. Her hand, which had been resting on my arm, went still. Her eyes didn't show shock about me struggling. They showed calculation. She quickly schooled her expression back into concern. "Wow, that's a lot," she said. I had no idea. "I didn't want to stress you out." I replied, "I'll figure out. I always do." The rest of the day, there was a distance between us. Not big enough for a stranger to notice, but I felt it. Her texts grew shorter, her calls fewer, little by little. She started saying things like, "Hey, I might not be able to come over tonight. I got some stuff to handle." Or, "We'll talk tomorrow, okay? I'm exhausted." I didn't push. I didn't ask who she was really texting when she said she was tired. I already knew there was another orbit she was spinning in. I was just watching to see when gravity would shift. A few days later, I upped the stakes. I accidentally took a call from a made-up lawyer while she was within earshot. I made sure she heard the words chapter filing, asset liquidation, and personal liability. When I hung up, she tried to act casual, but I saw the way her jaw tightened. "So it's really that bad?" she asked. "Could be," I said. "Worst case, I sell the car this week. I've already had someone make an offer. With that and downsizing the condo, I think I can survive without actually filing, but it's going to be rough." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I guess you'll be really busy for a while." "Yeah," I said. "I understand if you don't want to get dragged into this." She shook her head quickly. No, of course I'm here for you." But she didn't hug me, didn't say, "We'll figure out together." Not like someone who loves you does when your life is falling apart. A day passed, then 2, then 3. She canceled 2 plans. One night, she called sounding off. "We need to talk," she said. My chest tightened. "Okay," I said. "Come over." She hesitated. "Can we just do it by phone? I'm at my sister's place." "Sure you are," I thought. Out loud, I just said, "If that's what you want." She took a breath. "Erin, I care about you, you know that. But I've been thinking a lot about the future. And I feel like, I don't know, like we're not aligned anymore. Like we're at different stages." There it was. The speech. The polite exit she thought sounded mature. Different stages. I repeated, "Yeah," she said quickly. "You're going through so much right now. And I just feel like maybe this isn't the right time for us. I need stability. I've worked so hard on myself, and I can't go backward, you know?" I stared at the wall, feeling weirdly calm. "So you want to break up?" I said. "I think it's for the best," she replied. "For both of us. I don't want to resent you if things get worse, and I don't want you to feel pressured." Translation: there's no car coming in my name. So I'm out. "I understand," I said, and I did. Perfectly. She seemed surprised that I wasn't fighting. "You're okay?" "Yeah," I said. "We probably weren't aligned." "I hope things get better for you," she added. "I really do." We hung up, just like that. No tears on my end. No last-minute speeches. It was like someone closed a file folder. Done. Final. I let myself sit with it for a while. There was sadness, sure, at the idea of what I thought we had, at the version of her I'd built in my head. But underneath that sadness was something else. Relief. Relief that I had proof. That when tested, she didn't choose me. She chose what she thought I could give. Or not give. The next day, I sold the car. Not out of spite. Out of closure. The buyer was ecstatic. I watched him drive away in a cloud of exhaust and let the sound disappear into the distance. It weirdly felt like exhaling a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying. The money went into a new investment I'd been considering for a while. A mid-size yacht I'd half-joked about owning one day when work got crazy and I wanted to escape. People say buying a boat is impractical. They're right. I didn't buy it because it was practical. I bought it because the ocean doesn't lie to you. Waves don't text your ex-water, doesn't pretend. A week after Brooke left, my friend convinced me to post a photo. "You should let people see you're good," he said. "She's probably spinning some story. Don't let her own the narrative." So one morning, I took a picture on the deck. Nothing flashy. Just me in a t-shirt and shorts, standing at the rail, the city skyline behind me, sunlight hitting the water. I captioned it, "New chapter." Grateful. Hit upload. Put my phone down. Went about my day. I didn't think about Brooke seeing it. I didn't need her to, but she did. I found out about 45 minutes later when my doorbell started going wild. Not normal knocking. Not polite pressing. Full on, "I know you're in there" chaos. When I opened the door, there she was, hair messy, eyes puffy, phone in hand, screen still showing my Instagram. "Are you kidding me?" she snapped. "You bought a yacht?" I leaned against the doorframe. Calm. "Hello to you too," I said. "You said you were broke," she shouted. "You said you were selling everything, meeting with lawyers, filing bankruptcy." I said I might. I corrected. I never said I actually did. "You lied to me," she said, voice cracking. "You lied to me." I said back, just as steady. "You told your ex you'd come back to him once I put the car in your name." She went quiet so fast it was almost funny. The color drained from her face. "I never don't," I said. "Please don't insult both of us." I saw the message, Brooke. I saved it. You weren't confused. You weren't scared. You were planning your exit with my keys in your hand. She swallowed hard, tears welling. "It wasn't like that," she tried. I was venting. "Mason was just someone I used to talk to." I said stupid things. I didn't mean it. "Then why did you leave when you thought I was poor?" I asked. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I stepped slightly to the side so she could see past me, through the big glass windows that overlooked the water. There, anchored at the dock just behind the building, was the boat. White, clean, shimmering under the afternoon sun. Her eyes landed on it and stayed there. "You sold the car," she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "Turns out I didn't need it to feel successful anymore." "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "That you were okay? That you weren't broke? Would it have mattered?" I asked, "Would you have made a different choice?" She stared at me, tears finally spilling over. "I was scared," she said. "You made it sound like everything was collapsing. I didn't know where I fit in that. I just panicked." "You panicked straight into your ex's arms," I said, but only after the future car title vanished. "It wasn't about the car," she snapped, anger flaring. "I'm not a gold digger." "Sure," I said. "You just coincidentally told him you'd come back after the papers went through." She looked at the floor, shoulders shaking. I love you, she whispered. I just didn't want to go back to struggling. I've worked so hard to get out of that. When you said you might lose everything, I saw my whole life falling apart all over again. Funny, I said. I spent most of my life in that feeling, and I never once used someone as a stepping stone out of it. She reached out like she wanted to touch my arm. I stepped back just enough that her hand brushed the air instead. The look that flashed across her face, shock, then realization, was almost physically painful to watch. "We can fix this," she said suddenly, voice desperate. "You're fine. You're clearly fine. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. I'm here now. Doesn't that count for something?" "No," I said softly. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "What?" "You didn't come back because you missed me," I said. "You came back because you miscalculated. You left thinking I was sinking. Then you saw I wasn't. This isn't love, Brooke. It's damage control." She shook her head, tears streaming. "That's not fair." "What wasn't fair?" I said, feeling my own calm start to harden, was learning that the person I fell asleep next to was planning to trade me in as soon as the registration paperwork cleared. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off with one final question. If I was actually bankrupt right now, if the car was gone and there was no yacht, no condo, just me in a crappy apartment somewhere with a mattress on the floor, would you be here? Silence. Pure, heavy answer enough silence. She didn't say yes. She didn't say anything. Her silence told the truth, louder than any words. "That's what I thought," I said. I picked her phone up from the console table near the door. She'd left it here weeks ago in her rush to pack up the few things she'd kept at my place. I kept it in a drawer, unsure whether to mail it or wait. Now I handed it to her. "You forgot this," I said. She took it slowly, fingers trembling. "Aaron, please, don't do this. We had something good. We had something almost good." I corrected, "But I can't spend my life wondering if you disappear the second things get hard. I've been poor. I've struggled. I've watched bills pile up and wondered if we'd make rent. If I ever go through that again, I need someone who holds on tighter, not someone who drafts their exit strategy." She bit her lip, shoulders curling inward. "So that's it." "That's it," I said. "You made your choice a week ago when you walked away. I'm just making mine now." For a second, I thought she might scream. Instead, her face crumpled. "I hope you're happy," she choked out. "I hope that stupid boat keeps you warm at night." I almost smiled, not out of cruelty, but out of the absurdity of it. "It doesn't need to," I said. "I sleep fine knowing the people in my life are there for me, not for a title or a bank balance." I gently closed the door. She pounded on it once, twice, then her footsteps retreated down the hall. I stood there, hand on the knob, breathing. It didn't feel triumphant. It didn't feel victorious. It just felt quiet, clean. A few days later, someone sent me a screenshot of a post she'd made online. According to her, I was a manipulative narcissist who faked bankruptcy to emotionally torture her, used money to play God, and lied about everything. She left out the part about texting her ex. She left out the part about leaving the second imaginary money disappeared. Her post got some sympathy comments, some angry ones directed at me. I didn't respond. Didn't post my own side. I've learned that people who want to believe a victim narrative will, no matter what. But I did send the screenshots and message history to my lawyer, just in case. When one of my business partners called and said, "Hey man, is everything okay?" I saw some weird stuff online. I forwarded him the same receipts. He read them and whistled. "Damn," he said, "you always did have a type." I laughed at that for the first time, not because it was funny, but because it reminded me I'd chosen versions of this story before. The pretty version, the softer version, the less obvious one. This time, I saw it clearly. There was a moment, about a month later, when I was out on the water alone. The city looked smaller from out there. Problems looked smaller, too. I thought about texting her, not to get her back, but to tell her something like, "I hope you heal," or "I hope you find someone you don't have to perform for." Then I realized that message wouldn't be for her. It'd be for me, trying to feel like the bigger person. I didn't send it. I put my phone down, leaned back, and let the wind hit my face. People think the best revenge is a yacht, the condo, the new trips, the proof you made it without them. It's not. The real revenge is the life you build that's honest. One where you don't have to fake collapse to see who stays. One where you don't have to run tests at all, because the people around you are consistent, when things are good and when they're not. I'm not there yet. I still flinch sometimes when someone asks, "What do you do?" I still hesitate when a date seems a little too impressed by the view from my balcony. But I'm learning. I sold the idea that love will always be pure if you just work hard enough. Now I believe something else. Love is proven when there's nothing to gain. Brooke taught me that the hard way. I'll always be grateful for that, even if I'll never say it to her. So yeah, my girlfriend told her ex, "He's putting that car in my name soon. Then I'll come back to you." I said nothing. I faked the bankruptcy and sold it. 24 hours later, she left me. A week later, she was screaming at my door after seeing my new yacht on Instagram. Love was a game to her. This time, I finally learned how to stop playing.